Okay, we are live. What is going on, everyone? Obviously, if you can read the title, you know what we're doing today. You know what we're doing today. Let me just tweet this out real quick, just to let some people know that we're live. This is kind of a last second stream because I was thinking about either doing one today or tomorrow. I wasn't too sure. And usually I like to let you guys know ahead of time, but uh, this time like I said, it was a last minute thing. I was going to do it, and then I was like, nah, you know what? I'm not going to do it because a bunch of people came over my house out of nowhere. They're all gone now, so it's not a big deal. But when there's a lot of people here, it's kind of impossible to stream or really make videos at all because it gets loud in this house, man. It gets loud. I'm actually planning on making this room soundproof, which is going to be hard. I'm going to have to get like a whole soundproof door and everything just to make it so I can record without background sound. Because I don't know if you guys have ever noticed. You probably noticed this once or twice here and there. It's not a big deal. It doesn't ruin the video, but there's been some times where in the background you can hear something from somewhere else, and it always bothers me. So I gotta try to make this as what's the word, as soundproof as possible. What's up, Maddie? How you doing? What's up, Tessa? What's up, Super Watto? Advanced Warfare is underrated. Greetings from Chile. What's up, Sebastian? What's up, Jason Carr? How you doing, dude? My day's going pretty good. It's been kind of a usual day. Nothing crazy has really happened, to be honest. But yeah. So we're gonna be going over just my top 100. We're gonna wait a little bit till some people get in here, some more people. But we're gonna be going over my top 100 favorite movies of all time. I have them all listed out on IMDb, so we're just gonna run right through them. I was thinking about doing a video for this instead of a stream, but I decided to do a stream because a video would take forever. And a video like this is a video I feel like you have to do a lot because your list always changes. At least mine does. You know, like I've probably seen over 250 new movies since last year. And I did a top 50 video last year. And even that video took forever to make. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hold off a little bit and just do a stream for now. Maybe in the future I could do a full-on video because a video you can make it a little more professional, but a stream is more like personal, I guess. I could actually talk to you guys about it, like as we go through all my list. You guys can let me know what you think. It's my list though, so trust me. There's gonna be movies on there that I expect a lot of you to not give a rat's ass about. Definitely a lot of movies on here that I'm expecting people to be like, really? That's in your top 100? But it's all opinions. It's all, I'm sure some of you kind of know which ones are going to be on my list for the most part. I'll just get this out of the way. There's a lot of superhero, Marvel, and action. That's like 90%. No, that's not 90% of it. That's at least half of it is going to be either superhero, horror, or action of some sort. I'll just say that right off the bat. But there's also some comedies there. There's some just dramas that don't really fit into any other categories. There's a couple of animated movies, not a lot though. I'm not crazy on animated movies. There's some I really like, but they're usually ones from my childhood. It's not really something I watched recently. But there's a couple there, especially some of the Pixar ones. Uh, there's a couple, fantasy ones on there. There's really no like romantic movies on there because like romantic movies, I don't know if I really care about those that much. Yeah, I like romance stories, but when it's in something else, I don't like it when the movie's just solely focused on like a romance. I like it when it's like thrown into something like like a superhero movie has a side story of a romance, or an action movie has a romance going on it. You know what I mean? It's kind of just all in there. Who's your favorite killer from the Scream franchise? Mine was Billy and Stu. Probably agree with you on that. It was either them or maybe even Billy's mom was interesting, I gotta say. And then the fourth one with Jill I thought was pretty interesting as well. I think the weakest one was probably the third one, but still wasn't that bad. Just spilled some water on myself. That's great. Yo, what's up, Chad? Have you watched Marvel's What If? So yeah, I have not watched it yet. I was really debating if I should record a reaction to it. I don't really know if I want to, because I'll be honest, like I'm like excited to watch it, but like I'm not that excited. Like not enough to the point where I feel like my reaction is going to be that good. Because it's one of those shows where it's like, first of all, it's animated, which is not like a problem. It's not like it's gonna. I automatically think it's gonna suck because it's animated. But I definitely don't have the same sort of excitement for animated things as I would for live action things. And it's also like a multiverse thing, so I don't assume what's happening in these what if stories actually matter to the main story. If that's what I don't know. I'm still excited to watch it though, but I just don't know if it's worthy of a reaction because again, recording a reaction and editing it would take time out of my day to do other things. You know what I mean? Your favorite Freddy movie? We'll get into all that because let me just say now there is at least a couple of Freddy movies on this ranking. I'll just say right now though my favorite's the original, but I'll just say that for now. But there's a couple of those movies on here. The Notebook is really good. I have never seen it. Which Back to the Future do you like the most? The original. Definitely. Well, the original, the first one, you know. I guess it's kind of hard to call it the original because, I mean, it's a trilogy of original movies. You know what I mean? All right, let's just hop right into it. I'll still read chat as much as I can, so don't think I'm just going to forget about you guys or anything, but I want to move this over here and then move this over here just so I can see chat and also see my screen. All right, let's just hop into the first one here. Let me just pull it up. We got to change to this screen though. And boom. Number 100. Oh, I got to remove this. Hold on. The chat is showing up right there. Actually, I'll keep the chat. You guys can stay up here. Why not? You guys want to chill right here? But it's like white though. You guys can't even see it because of the white background. Oh, I can keep it right here actually. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Actually, I want to move this. There we go. Beautiful. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm very OCD about these things. Like I need this to be so perfectly aligned or it's like, you know. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed in my reaction videos, but sometimes I like adjust my camera because I don't like the camera being like uneven and stuff. I wish I wasn't like that because it bothers me that I'm like that. Like I don't want to be like that, but it's just the way I am. It's stuff that I know none of you give a shit about, at least most of you, but it bothers me. Don't forget to like the video, guys. Hell yes, bro. Hell yes, Destiny's right. Like the video or the stream or whatever you call it. Or dislike it. Either one, honestly, is fine with me. Trying to get this in a comfortable spot so I can see it. There we go. All right, so yeah, number 100, Rocky 4. I have seen all the Rocky movies other than the Creed movies that came out more recently, but I've seen all the, Rocky movies 1 through 6. The fourth one's my favorite out of all of them, which is a surprising pick because I know most people like the first one or the second one the most. Even I heard people say the third one. No one really says the fifth one. But 4 is the one I've always gravitated towards, like, for the most part. It's just a big part of it's the whole thing with Russia and you have, Draco. It's just so... This is my childhood right here, by the way. Like, if you guys want to know the movies I watched as a kid, because a lot of you say, what movies have you watched when you were a kid? You haven't seen Terminator, you haven't seen this. I was watching Spider-Man and Rocky, and that's about it. No, a couple other franchises here and there, but it was mainly Spider-Man and Rocky. I even have Rocky action figures in my basement, like of every single character and every single outfit possible. I have little action figures of them. It's hilarious. But yeah, Rocky 4 is just the one I enjoyed the most, but it's so hard because there's such a big, there's so many movies out there. So even though I absolutely love this movie and I want, like, you think, like, right off the top of my head, like, I would probably usually rank this higher, but it's like when I went through all the movies, I'm like, holy shit, it's actually not that high up there. There's a lot of movies I think I prefer a little bit. Like, it was hard to make this list. It's not an easy one, to be honest. What do you think of Endgame? You'll find out in a little bit because it's on the list. So, your favorite soundtrack so far from any movie ever? Oh, that's a hard one. There's so many good soundtracks from so many movies. Oh man, that's such a hard one. I could not pick one movie. I really couldn't. A recent movie I saw, The Tomorrow War, has a really good soundtrack. By the way, I just want to throw that out there, but that's probably not my favorite. It could be like Lord of the Rings is definitely up there as one of them. They have a really good soundtrack. Uh, Man of Steel even as well. Really, any most Marvel movies tend to have pretty good soundtracks. Like Spider-Man, like the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. The Dark Knight has a great soundtrack. Joker has a great soundtrack. I could name a lot. Back to the Future, obviously. It's hard to pick one. Mm. Inception, shit, I forgot about Inception, and Interstellar. Really, any Christopher Nolan movie because he usually has Hans Zimmer do his scores, and Hans Zimmer is one of the best composers, and John Williams, I would say. What do you think of Scream? Oh, you'll see that eventually too. Let's get to number 99, True Lies. True Lies is one of the movies we did on this channel, and it was one that so many people were telling me to watch. Like I had so many people recommending this, and I was just like really excited because I mean I've really never gotten that many recommendations before for one single movie, and it was surprising because I've really never heard of this movie before, and and then I watched it and I'm like, holy shit, that was really good. One of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Not my favorite one though. There are some movies with him that I do like more, but it's a damn good movie. It's one of the best '90s action movies out there. I feel like it's just really well directed, like especially the action scenes. I mean, it's James Cameron, so I kind of expected it to be like that. Do you think Rick will come back for the end of season 11? Possibly, possibly. I hope so. But they also got to do the Rick movies too, though. Oh, you still need to see a lot of movies. Okay, I have heard people say that they're like, oh, you should wait to do a ranking until you've seen more movies. But I've already seen a ton of movies. It's not like I've seen no movies. It's just that there are some really big popular movies. Yeah, I haven't seen yet. Sure, I don't think this ranking is just necessarily gonna just explode because of that. And just it's not. I'm not gonna have any like movies up. You know what I mean? Like people are like, oh, if you have any superhero movies in your top 100, your ranking's like invalid. But it's like at the end of the day, there's no objective ranking you can make. It's always going to be your own just favorite picks, which ones you like the most, which ones you enjoy the most. And I do like superhero movies a lot. I do like horror a lot. I do like action a lot. That's why these movies are up there. It just is what it is. Like I'm sure movies from like the 40s and 50s, they're probably really solid, like really well written in every single way, but I'm just not going to enjoy them just based on how I am now. You know what I mean? Like I didn't watch those when I was younger. I wasn't alive when anyone really cared about those movies anymore. Because does anyone really talk about like those movies anymore? No, not really. But no, I do agree. There's a lot more movies I need to see, which is good. I don't ever want to get to a point ever. I never want to get to a point where I'm like, oh, I've seen everything. Never want to get to that point. I always want to be in a position where I'm like, damn, there's more movies I haven't seen yet, you know? What are your thoughts on the Spider-Man trilogy? You'll find out about that too, bro. You'll find out about that too. 98, Alita Battle Angel. All right, I've heard people recommend this movie as well to do a reaction, but I already saw it before I even started this channel, so I couldn't really do that. But it's a really fun movie that deserves a sequel. I don't know if it will get one, but it's really one of the prettiest looking movies too, because you have this character who is essentially CGI. Like the main character is CGI. I don't know how much of it is CGI. It's pretty much the whole thing, right? But it is probably the most realistic looking CGI I've ever seen in my entire life. I believe this is based off an anime. I don't really watch anime, so I don't know anything about the anime or whatever, or what do you call it, anime or manga? I don't know what they call it. It's based off of something like that. Haven't really seen the source material, but from what I've heard, it does do the source material justice. I don't know, man, you've been seeing sus lately. Oh, that's that Hank video, right? That's hilarious. I love that video. But yeah, no, this movie is just, it's a solid one that I think really deserves a sequel just because of how entertaining it was. And it didn't get a lot of like box office revenue, I think. It wasn't very popular. Have you seen Shawshank Redemption? No, we're actually going to react to that really soon though. So be on the lookout for that because that is one I do need to see. Which is why I'm going to update these videos because that could definitely end up going into my top 100. But I just, we'll update it as we go, I guess. What are your thoughts on the first Scream? Oh, you'll hear about my thoughts on Scream in a little bit. It's on the list. I'll just say that much. But next up is gonna be Spider-Man 3, and this might be one of those where people are like, "Bro, what the fuck? Spider-Man 3? Are you kidding me?" There's definitely a lot of bias for this one. It's very nostalgic for me. It's the first live action movie I saw in theaters. I was about 7 years old, and I went to see this in the theaters. And it was probably one of my best theater experiences, even though I was literally 7 years old. But like I was like this little boy just freaking the fuck out over Spider-Man, man. I was freaking out, like, and I still am to this day about anything Spider-Man related, but like this one was like because you had this build up, right? Now I was too young to see the other ones in the first two in theaters, but obviously I watched them, on DVD or whatever afterwards. And as I grew up, it was always my favorite as a kid, definitely. But as I grew up, I started to see some of its flaws, and that's why it's a little bit lower than some other Spider-Man movies. Because you're gonna see a couple of Spider-Man movies on this list. I'll just say that right away. You're gonna see a couple of Spider-Man movies, but this one's it's not towards the bottom of my list, I would say, because it's still in my top 100 of all time, right? But I do see some of its flaws, like Venom as a character. I do think was a little bit obviously thrown in there. He could have been reworked or maybe just not in the movie at all, but I'm okay with it being there. I like the whole thing with the black suit and turning Peter into this kind of, not, I don't want to say douchebag, but he's kind of just like a, I don't know if you guys heard that thunder. That shit was loud. Well, we got thunder, so hopefully the power doesn't go out, because if it does, that's a problem. So if I do just end the stream out of nowhere, you know why. And if that does happen, I'll probably start it back up. I don't know. Have you seen The Hunt of Red October? I have not. Have not seen Freedom Land either. Have not seen Bone Collector. These are movies I've never heard of, by the way. So I don't know if they're popular or not, but I've just never heard of them. But yeah, just to finish up Spider-Man 3. Great movie. Honestly, it's got a lot of great stuff to it. There's a lot of negatives, but there's also a lot of positives. Cocky's the word. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. It's got a lot of positives, got a lot of negatives. It kind of just balances itself out, and I thought it was a really solid conclusion to the trilogy. It's one of my favorite trilogies of all time, and it's very nostalgic for me, obviously. And 96, we got Gremlins. I've had a couple people recommend this to me as well, but I've already seen it. I actually saw it when I was really young, so I've seen it a couple times since then as well. I actually haven't watched it in like at least 5 years, probably more than that. But I still remember the movie enough to, think it deserves to be on the list. It's just a classic. I don't know. It's a classic. I don't know. People consider it horror. I don't really consider it horror though. It's more of like a fun, like it's definitely, there's that one scene, that the only scene in the movie that I consider like horror is the one in the kitchen when the mom's in there and she's like throwing them in like the blender and stuff, and the ones in the microwave. That scene's my favorite scene in the whole movie. Please go faster, bro. Don't tell me to go faster. If I'm going too slow for you, get out of here and come back later so you can go fast forward. I'm going at the pace I want to go at. No offense, but I'm going at the pace I want to go at, bro. But Gremlins, like I said, it's not as horror as I feel like. Please just don't watch Garbage Pail Kids. I don't even know what that is. Have you seen The Green Mile? I have not. Isn't that a sequel to The Shawshank Redemption? Or I've heard them both being compared. I don't know if they're the same universe or not. It's super wild. Don't take offense to that. I'm not like actually mad at you. I'm just saying. I'm going to my speed, man. Yeah, no, it's definitely got some dark humor. It's just, like I said, a classic. There's not really much else to talk about it. Mrs. Doubtfire has nothing but Big Mama's House movies. Oh man, I forgot about Big Mama's House. I used to love. They're not on this list. I don't think they'd be like. I don't think they'd be on this list, but they're still fun. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I've heard of it, but I have no idea. No idea what that is. Actually, should I just move? I can move the live chat over here. You guys can't see it on your screen, but I can see it on mine. Or I can move it right here. No, that'll be on your way. Wait, actually, no. If I do this, and then I go like, there we go. Now I can see it. Not have to look to the other side of the screen. Perfect. Beautiful. This is kind of bothering me though. I don't want this here. There we go. All right. Let's go next. Oh wait, I just realized when I'm. Oh, now I gotta. Never mind. You know what? We're gonna put it back. I'm sorry. We're gonna put it back because every time I touch the screen, it's just gonna freak out and like make it more complicated than it has to be. Because you know how things are. You know how things are. All right. Next. I think you guys can see that, right? Yep, Disturbia. It's a weird pick. It's a movie that I feel like nobody talks about, like ever. I can't say I've ever heard anyone but myself talk about this movie. I've really never heard anyone talk about it, to be honest. And I used to think it was like a horror movie, but after watching it like more times, I'm like, is it really considered horror? Who's the better Superman, Henry or Christopher? So, my opinion, I'm gonna say Henry. Christopher Reeve. No, okay, you know what? They fit a very different category of Superman because they're very different movies. Christopher Reeve's Superman is more goofy. What's the word? Not goofy. I don't know if goofy is the right word, but more like lighthearted type. You know, whereas Henry Cavill's Superman is more serious, grounded. There's more thunder. A little more serious, grounded, and such. So I prefer the more serious take on Superman, even though I do love the original Superman. I just think, what the hell even is that? Never seen Disturbia. I'm kind of glad people haven't seen it because now I get to recommend some shit. So, okay, Disturbia came out in 2007. It's pretty simple. It's just about this teenager who I'm not gonna spoil anything, obviously. By the way, yeah, it's Shia LaBeouf, by the way. So it's a Shia LaBeouf movie. This is back when he was like in his prime and he was actually acting a lot of stuff, and he actually does a really good job in it as well. But he's essentially under house arrest, and he's convinced. I'm literally reading what it says in the freaking description. He thinks his neighbor is a serial killer, right? And so he's like spying on him the whole movie, and eventually he finds out more stuff that he shouldn't find out, and then he gets into trouble with it, basically. And this guy's like way crazier than he thought, because at first it was just a joke, and then he realizes there's more serious shit going down with this house, and he gets himself involved when he shouldn't. It's just a really fun movie. That's just fun isn't maybe not the right word, but it's a really well done movie with all the scenes and how it plays out. It's not like a hard R movie. It's PG. It's literally PG-13, so you're not gonna expect like R-rated like deaths or horror, because it's not really horror. It's definitely good for like people who want to watch a horror movie but don't necessarily like gore, because it feels like a slasher, but it's not, because he doesn't kill many people. You know what I mean? So I have not seen Battleship. Can't be. Yeah, can't be is a good word. But yeah, it's got a lot of fun stuff to this movie, and Shia LaBeouf's great in it. So he's a little crazy now, I think, but it's what it is. Are you gonna have franchise movies ranked individually in your list, or just as a whole franchise? Oh, individually. This is literally individual movies. There's nothing's grouped up. Everything's its own spot. So there's a lot of franchises that have a lot of movies in here. Like, for example, what's an example? The MCU. There's a couple MCU movies in there, for example. Not a lot. Don't be thinking I have the whole list with MCU movies. It's maybe like 8 or 9, probably 8, probably 8 MCU movies, which is still a lot. That's 8% of my list right there. Okay. And you Scream fans, look at that. Look at that. Scream 4 is on the list. Did you think that was going to get there? Did you think that was going to get there? But it's not my favorite Scream, so you can expect there to be another one on there somewhere. But yeah, I like this one a lot more than I think, because when I posted the video, a lot of people before were telling me, "Oh, it's a great movie, it's a great movie." But then the video got a lot of comments on it that were like people being like, "This movie's ass." I enjoyed pretty much every second of it. I really can't think of any negatives. It just didn't do what it was trying to do as well as the first one did, I would say. But it probably was the best sequel. Even though I did like 2 a lot, I think 2 would be like my top 200 movies or something. But I think Scream was good enough to pass the 100. Just good enough, for sure. I think the best part about it was, I'm not going to spoil things, but I'm sure you probably know by now. Jill as a I forget what I just said. The killer reveal was good. I'm like, I'm not gonna spoil things, and then I don't think the Beethoven franchise is on this list anymore. Back in the day, though, Beethoven or Beethoven, is that how you spell Beethoven, or am I just stupid? Or is there actually a movie franchise with Beethoven? Or is that a different Beethoven? I don't know. Yeah, I'll just say right off the bat, there is not a single movie on this list before 1970, maybe 1980 actually. There's not a single movie before like 1970 something, so just don't expect it. Don't expect it. There are some movies before that that I really do like though. Like I love Wizard of Oz. I love King Kong from 1933. But they're just, oh, The Dog. I think I've heard of those, but yeah, they're not on here. They're not on here. And here's the Pirates of the Caribbean fans. They get one movie, just one. There's no other ones on this list. I like the first one and the third one as well a lot, but they wouldn't make the top 100. And then 4, I haven't watched 5 yet. I watched 4. The video wasn't posted yet, but I did watch it. I didn't like hate it. I just didn't like it nearly as much as the first 3, really. So, is what it is. Ghostface is my favorite horror icon. I'd say mine's is Chucky. Definitely biased because I grew up with those, but where's Jack and Jill? Not on here, bud. Not on here. But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. This is my favorite of all the Pirates ones. A big part of that's with Davy Jones as a character. Just the way they introduced him was really interesting. I think the whole thing between Will and Elizabeth was the strongest in this movie. I think it had some of the best action, especially with the Kraken. You know, the third one definitely has the best like ending battle for sure, but this one I think just was better paced as a whole. And I just felt the most interested in what was going on. I feel like the earlier parts of the movie were definitely unnecessary, but it was entertaining. So I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit. Drink up me hearties, yo ho. All right, next up, we got to start with our MCU eventually, right? Spider-Man Homecoming, which I do like more than Spider-Man 3, just a little bit. This movie has gone down a little bit, though. It really has. Like, I used to think Spider-Man Homecoming was like, actually, at one point, it was my favorite Spider-Man movie. But that shit dropped like crazy after I rewatched the Sam Raimi movies and even some of the Amazing Spider-Man ones. Like, it dropped. But just because I feel like the MCU Spider-Man, right? Same thing with Far From Home. Far From Home's not on this list, by the way. They have too much comedy for me. Like, Spider-Man is a comedic character, yes. But that does not mean his movies should be a comedy, right? That's why I don't really love MCU Spider-Man as much as I wish I did. There's too much comedy. Every character is a comedic genius for some reason. The dialogue feels so not unorganic, inorganic. It doesn't feel organic because everyone's trying to be funny every single line, and it's like, Why? Like, these movies should have a couple of funny characters. Spider-Man has his funny quips, as he always does. We know that's what Spider-Man should be. A couple other characters should be funny as well. You know, you need your comic relief. J.J. Jameson was the comic relief of a lot of the Sam Raimi movies. That's fine. But like when you have Aunt May cracking jokes every 3 seconds and there's not one serious scene with Aunt May, it's like, why? Why? You know what I mean? I'm okay with it. I think this does a better with balancing humor and seriousness than Far From Home does. And I think Vulture is a fantastic villain. That's why it's on this list. But I still think the humor brings it down a little bit. But that doesn't mean this movie's not great, because like I said, there's a lot of great stuff to Homecoming, hence why it's on this list. You still have Vulture, who I think is probably the best Spider-Man villain. Maybe now Doc Ock might be better, but close. One of the best Spider-Man villains we've ever seen. Live action, that is. And you have some really good stuff between him and Tony Stark, even though I know people don't like the whole, he's like Iron Boy Jr. or whatever. I do think they have a good dynamic there, and it plays off nicely in the other MCU movies, so I'm okay with that. And I think a lot of the scenes, they have good funny moments there too, especially when he's like the new suit and all. Like I have problems with that, like it being basically made by Iron Man, whatever. But they do have some funny stuff without him talking to the Karen girl that's like the voice in the suit. It's a fun movie. It's probably one of the funnest Spider-Man out there. I love a lot of the scenes they do later on with the it's a very well paced movie too, like really well paced. I don't have a preference over Spider-Man, like as of the actors, right? I think literally each and every one of them does their own respective roles perfectly. I just prefer the more serious Spider-Man over the more jokey one, but that doesn't mean I don't think Tom Holland's really good in the role, because he is. Like, he's just as good as Tobey and Andrew, in my opinion. I just think they write it too comedically, and I'm really scared for No Way Home that they're going to do that same thing. Especially with Tobey and Andrew's characters. If they're going to be in it, which they probably will, you can't have them be like turned into a joke, because that's not who they are, right? There's certain parts of them that should be a joke, yes, not the entirety of them. So that's important to me. And next up we have Deadpool. Yeah, so I recently started watching the X-Men franchise. The first X-Men reaction is going to be up probably this weekend. But I've already seen Deadpool and Deadpool 2 and Logan. And Deadpool, Jesus, this thunder's getting bad. Deadpool makes the list. Deadpool 2 doesn't. I didn't like it that much, but the first one does, definitely. It's definitely got a lot of... This is the very big difference between Homecoming and Deadpool. Deadpool is supposed to be comedic all around, so everything about this movie should be hilarious, and it is. A lot of it's hilarious. Probably one of the funniest comic book movies out there. It's also got a lot of good action. It's R-rated, so you got a lot of brutal stuff with it too, which is great. Oh no. The lights just flickered. I'm probably going to lose power. If the lights flicker, that means I'm going to lose power. Hopefully I don't. If I do, again, you guys know why. Shit, I want to see how bad it's going to get, because if it gets really bad, at least I can be prepared to lose it. Severe thunderstorm warning. Oh my god, why? Oh, we're going to be holding on here, folks. Oh no. And we're really... We lose power a lot, too. Like, it's like a common occurrence here for some reason. Like, I don't think I've gone, like, a couple months period without losing power at least once or twice. Yeah, I hope they end up doing that in the MCU. They probably will. But yeah, I'm just warning you guys now, we're probably going to lose power. So, we're probably going to lose power. I had no idea it was going to thunder today, which is a problem. Well, I'm not going to die, but I might lose power, which sucks because it's hot as hell out. So I'll be dying because the AC doesn't work without power. So, all right. Scream is next, just the first Scream. It's actually pretty close to Scream 4. I bet y'all thought that was a surprise. Probably thought it was going to be a lot higher. Or wait until you finish the list. Yeah. But Scream, love the shit out of it. It's not that much higher than the fourth one, though. And it doesn't mean I don't like it, because I liked fourth a lot. So first one I also like a lot, but it's just not that much higher. It probably has one of the most interesting and unique ideas for a story because of the fact that it's like we have all these movies where it's like there's an individual killer, like Friday the 13th with Jason and Michael Myers and stuff. But like this one was so different because it was a different person that we didn't know who was gonna be. Like we had to guess the whole time, and that's one of the funnest parts about it, was sitting there being like, "Yo, who the hell is it gonna be?" I do think it was pretty obvious who it was gonna be, and people were in my comment section being like, "Bro, you obviously have seen this movie before because you guessed it perfectly," and I'm like, I just thought it was pretty obvious. Like, I'm sorry, like they were throwing all sorts of hints at me that it was gonna be him. Now, a couple times here and there, I was like, maybe it's reverse psychology. They're making me think it's gonna be Billy when it's really not. But it turned out pretty well. I still like the reveal. I don't think being surprising automatically makes it good. Yo, what's up, Team YouTube? I don't think being surprising and unpredictable automatically makes something good. So even if it is predictable, it can still be done very, very well. And I think this was done very, very well. I can't wait for the next stream as well. That's going to be exciting. Next up is Seven. Seven from 1995. I did a reaction to this one in December of 2020. So if you guys haven't seen that video, definitely watch that. This one, I didn't know what to think of at first, but